Well, we've already got 30 people in, so I'm going to kick off.
Oh, awesome.
Welcome, everyone. This is Draw Me Anything. My name is Jason. Thanks for the people who are first time here. I'm a cartoonist in New York City, and I often bring on guests and friends who are very interesting, fellow cartoonists, comedians. And today is very special because Gavin Aung Than is one of my first cartoonist friends from Perth, back in Australia, where we both started out. My first exposure to Gavin's work was Dan and Pete. I opened the Sunday Times one morning and I saw this superhero comic strip in full color in the Sunday Times. And I was like, where did this come from? I remember freaking out at the first going, I've never heard of this. Where is this from? I thought I knew all the comic strips. And then as I read it each week, I was like, oh, this guy's read Scott McCloud and Wally Wood. He knows how to make a comic strip. And I slowly realized weeks later, months later, in fact, that you were working at the Sunday Times as a graphic designer.
Yep.
And then we met through the Australian Cartoonists Association, I guess, one of those get-togethers.
Yep.
And the rest is history.
I can remember that first time. That first meeting.
What was it?
So Australian Cartoonists Association. I was trying to get out in the cartooning world and try to make connections and network. And I was hopeless at it, and I was super shy.
It's not easy.
Super introverted, as a lot of cartoonists are. Not you though, Jason. So I went to this meeting.
It's a skill.
Yeah, I went to this meeting, and as you know, most of the people there were older generation of cartoonists.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one other young person there, and that was you. And I was so shy. I was just probably sitting in the corner, not talking, not making eye contact. And then this bloody young guy, he knows everyone. Everyone loves him. He's cracking jokes. They're treating you like you're their son. I was like, who the hell is this guy?
Who's this guy? This clown.
Who's this who's this friendly bastard? They were not meant to be that outgoing and friendly and social. And it was just a great introduction. And I was probably so shy I didn't really go back to many more meetings because I was just not good at that networking thing.
If you remember, that was one of the. I'd already been a member of the WA chapter of the West Australian chapter of the Australian Cartoonist Association for a little bit at that point. And on my first meeting, like you, I was a shadow. I was just a ghost in that corner. I didn't know anyone. I didn't know how to talk to anyone. I was an introvert. I didn't really know how to introduce myself. And it was someone else that told me. It was another cartoonist. I think it was James Foley. Who was my Jason. He was my... talked to me. James Foley was the one who talked to me. It was at the Frio Arts Centre. And we had there was like an exhibition of the cartoonist work. And he was like, no, you should come and talk to, Smithy and the gang, And it was really nice. And Mick Horn and all those guys. And I got my very first gig through the Australian through that group, that WA group, Baggers. Michelle Baginski heard that there was a cartoon gig going at the Fremantle Herald or the Perth Voice. For like a weekly editorial cartoon. And I was like, that's what I want to do. And the only gig going in town was Alston in the West. So I was like, oh my God, Smithy in the community newspaper. So I was like, oh yeah, absolutely. And I got it. And it was from there, I just that was my first cartoon gig and it was all through the ACA.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And then I moved to Melbourne and you were living in Melbourne at the same time.
Yeah. That's
and
right.
I think by that time, I was trying to go to more meetings in the Melbourne chapter. Mm-hmm. And by that time, you were the bloody president of the association.
I crawled my way up into the halls of power.
Yeah,
I was the Frank Underwood of the Australian Cartoonist Association.
Yeah, wheeling and dealing in the hallways. Yeah, but it's been really a crazy journey.
I would not I would not recommend going into the administration of a cartoonist organization. It is
Oh,
like
okay.
herding cats. It's a lot of work, and it's not particularly. Yeah, there's no. It's a very thankless task. But yeah, I think the thing with you and I is I always remember thinking, like when we both lived in Melbourne, there was this sort of sense that, and I was just talking to Paul. Do you know Josh Zepps is radio guy from
No.
ABC from a while back. He has a podcast now called Uncomfortable Conversations, and he's in Sydney. And we're talking about the fact that like he didn't know that much about Perth apart from it was like a mining town. And
Yep.
he was like, as an artist, when you're in Perth, he said, is that really bad? And my argument was actually no, not when you're trying to learn. Like when you want to make all your mistakes and get your chops up, like actually
Yeah.
work on and hone your craft. There's no distractions. You can just really hone in. You can work. You can like really build up your skills. Yeah, like while no one's watching, as it's sort of
Yeah.
in
Right.
the
Yeah.
quiet. And then once you move fully formed, like more ready to like Melbourne or New York or wherever it is, you're like, oh, where did you come from? You're already
Yeah.
ready to go, and
Yep.
because no one really has heard of you if you've,
Yeah. Right.
which is good. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's actually an
Yeah.
advantage. It's not a disadvantage. It's an advantage. If you
Yeah.
want to make a living in Perth, as you know, it's more challenging, but it can be done. I have a lot of friends who are artists in Perth, but it is hard. It's really hard. It's a struggle. Do you find it? You're
Yeah.
back in.
Totally.
Where are you now? Right now, where are you? Where are you in this
Yeah.
moment?
So I've been back in Perth for about 6-7 years now.
Yeah.
And
In what part of Perth?
I'm in Bayswater now.
In Bayswater, right? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I've got my dream little studio here separate from the main house here, and just happily, yeah, working away the past few years. But yeah, it is harder. Yeah, yeah, it's funny. I left Melbourne, and that's when I started to actually get work in books in Australia. When I moved to Perth,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a great community here in Perth of authors and illustrators and artists. And yeah, it doesn't really matter where you are these days. I work for American publishers, but I live on the other side of the world, so it doesn't really matter where you are these days, as long as you have a good internet connection.
Yes, yeah. Well, I want to talk about your books because your latest book, this one, Creature Clinic, which I looked at, I love it. It's really good. Everyone who's just tuning in, this is Gavin Aung Than. This is his latest book, Creature Clinic. It's fantastic. You got some great blurbs on the back here as well. One from my friend Mike Cavallaro. It's Lord of the Rings, which is great. That's a good summary. And my friend Maria Scrivan, who does the Nat books, she said a meticulously woven tale of mythical creatures and adventure. It's great. You will not be surprised that my favorite part of the book. It's a fantastic book. I can't believe how much work went into it.
Yeah, I know.
But my favorite bit, which will not surprise you, is at the end when you do the Making the Creature Clinic and you show pencils, character designs, thumbs, roughs, inks, wording, colors, all of it. It's so good because then anyone who reads it and loves the form can then learn how it's done and then actually kind of do their own. It's a really nice way to do it.
I was the same as you growing up. I would just devour those, process pages at the back of a graphic novel or the back of anything. So it's really cool that hopefully, some 10-year-old sees that and gets inspired just like we did when we were that age.
Yeah. I mean, I think I had How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, which was
classic.
And
is
it Jack Kirby?
No, it was Buscema, John Buscema, I think.
John Buscema, that's right. Yeah. And then the other one was obviously Understanding Comics, which was kind of the Bible, I guess, of comics at the time. And then Scott McCloud. And Wallywood's panels. I always had Wallywood's.
The 22 panels,
Those up on my wall. The 22 panels up on my wall.
Yeah.
And
Will Eisner's probably the other one.
Eisner is the other one. Yeah. And I didn't have the chops, I don't think, and I was just saying this the other day, looking at graphic novels like this. And as I'm reading it, I'm like, you're so good at storytelling, you're so good at framing, you always have been. And we're going to get to Zen Pencils in a sec. But your ability to kind of tell a story just visually, and the lines, everything kind of works compositionally, structurally. And I really, really had to work at that stuff when I took on when I took on Ginger Megs, because I wasn't trained as a comic strip cartoonist. I had to learn it to take it on. And you were like an expert. You were like, I was looking at Dan and Pete when I was taking on Ginger Megs. I was like, how did he break out these panels to do this? Because you do these very dynamic Sunday strips with all this like movement and motion, and like it was
Right.
so. I mean, I didn't know how to do it at the time, so I was kind of looking at you, going, "Oh, that's interesting." What's scripting from you?
All right. Oh, I think that's a nice compliment. Thank you. But yeah, just growing up reading superhero comics, like you said, Jack Kirby talking about movement and dynamic figures, and yeah, just I guess osmosis. I guess I'm sure you knew how to do it. You were reading all the same comics that I did.
I was
I'm
reading
sure.
Mad.
Okay,
well, I was reading Mad and Spider-Man.
Yeah,
very different.
Right. Yeah, I kind of was hooked on all the Image comics, and yeah, the superhero stuff was my main jam.
Did you read Todd McFarlane? Who was your go-to? Who was like anything they did, you'd buy their stuff? Who was your favorite comic artist?
Probably Frank Miller was the main one.
Frank Miller,
yeah. Jim Lee, Jim Lee was a big deal, and then that led into Image Comics and all those muscle-bound, shoulder patch wearing, characters.
Right.
But yeah, Frank Miller, and then
growing up, did you ever read?
I collected it, but I didn't stay with it. No, didn't stay with it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But yeah, I found Frank Miller, and then they all worshipped at the feet of Jack Kirby. So I went back to look at Jack Kirby, and then he was the main source of all of those guys. So I absorbed all his stuff, and then also Mad Magazine was a big one for me growing up, and I felt like I couldn't really draw as well as like the comic book guys. I could never do a Jim Lee comic or something like that. And so I because my style was a bit more cartoony, so I thought maybe, Comic strips, newspaper strips, Bill Watterson, Charles Schultz. Yeah. So I thought, maybe this is a bit more realistic. I could draw, cartoony figures. And so it's kind of those two worlds combined, I guess, is my style. Yeah.
Well, it is a very well-formed style, and you can see your influences in there because like your silhouetting and your compositions and your style, your line, you can see all the little bits and pieces that you've taken from the different influences in your style, but it's definitely a defined, like I can see a piece of yours a mile away and go, oh, that's a Gavin. Like I know your style now, which is such a big thing because it takes a while to find that, to nail down like the look and feel. And even when you do these different books, like between Creature Clinic, but also like Baba Black Belt, and some of your other ones, the Super Sidekicks, like it does all feel like it's in the same world, but you've also used a slightly different execution on each one. Within your sphere of sort of competency. It's a really impressive thing to have.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I see Sidekicks behind you.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite of the three covers over there.
It's a good cover. It's a great cover.
Yeah, so that's cool. I don't really think about it.
Zen Pencils for a second.
Yep.
Well, because as it pertains to that style, and I want you to kind of tell everyone the story of this.
Okay.
I was wondering where you got the idea to take these incredible speeches and philosophical ideas and writings and turn them into a form that could be more universally digestible and more visually represented into what you called Zen Pencils, because that went crazy. I remember the first time you posted it, I was like, oh, it was like one of those kick yourself. Why didn't I think of that? It's a great idea. And the
Yeah.
thing is, you were the right person to do it too. Like if anyone else had the idea, I don't know that they would have had the capacity to A, sustain it, or B, make it as good as you made it. I still have the one thing. I've moved like 20 times in the past 20 years. It's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
the one thing that has stayed with me through all those moves is a framed one of your Zen pencils, which is Man in the Arena. And
Yep.
it is one of the best perfect because I was already obsessed with that speech. I love that. I love him as a president. I love him as just as a person. He's such a fascinating person.
Yep.
And then that encapsulation of that, the idea behind the speech was just perfect. So I want you to talk about Zen Pencils for a bit because I didn't actually
Okay.
get the backstory from you on how that
Okay.
started. How did that start?
Well, it's a long story, so
Yeah,
hope I don't bore you, but yeah. So okay, so I was a graphic designer, newspaper graphic designer. I hated it. I'd been doing it for 8 years. I managed to get a strip in the newspaper, as you were saying, Dan and Pete. I was doing that for no money. I was doing that in my spare time, on top of
oh,
it wasn't part of my regular job. Um, and yeah, I thought that was the start of my cartooning career. Dan and Pete, that would just magically take over the world somehow. I don't know how that was going to happen, but that didn't happen. And I moved to Melbourne, as you know, and I was working at another newspaper in Melbourne. And yeah, I was just kind of miserable. And around this time, as you know, newspapers were on its knees. I should put it lightly.
I do know.
Yeah,
Yes.
as you know. Um, and yeah, all my friends were getting redundancies, and everyone was doing their jobs, and the whole vibe was terrible, and I was miserable, and I was just like, I've always wanted to be a cartoonist. It's not happening. I need to do something drastic. And around this time, Twitter was, you know, taking off, and Facebook had been out just for a few years. I'm guessing around 2011. This was, and people were sharing, images, quotes, a lot of quotes. There was no video yet. Before video was a thing, it was all image based. And I was collecting a lot of quotes because I was looking for motivation to get out of my situation in life and to become a cartoonist. So I had a lot of quotes. The Teddy Roosevelt's "Man in the Arena," probably my favorite one among those. And yeah, and also another thing to add, I was dabbling in web comics as well. So I'd made Dan and Pete a web comic. I'd had another web comic I'd tried. I taught myself how to design a web comic site. And there were quite a few successful webcomic artists around this time. Probably the Oatmeal, Matthew Inman was the most successful.
Inman, yeah.
Yep, there was Roundel Munro. There was Penny Arcade. There was
Yeah, PvP.
PvP. Yeah, PvP.
Yeah.
So I was looking at that model. I was looking mainly at the Oatmeal and how he was doing it, and he was doing like just one-off funny comics that was not part of like a narrative. They were just in and out. You didn't have to follow like a story. You didn't have to follow any characters. And he was selling those. He was selling each comic as a poster. I thought that was a good idea. Yeah. Yep. So yep. So this was all in my head, and I was thinking, what am I going to do with my life? I hate my job. I hate my life. How do I become a cartoonist? And for some,
if you hate your life, become a cartoonist. Good advice.
Yeah, that's not a way to fix it. And for some reason, I had this arbitrary deadline. Like I was about to turn 30, and I was like, oh my god, if I haven't done anything by the time I'm 30, I'm a freaking failure, which is stupid looking back on it now. It's very stupid, but yeah. So I was like, okay, I got to do something before I turn 30. So and then I was thinking of an idea, and then it just all just clicked. It all just kind of it was like a perfect storm of all these emotions and circumstances. And I was like, what if it just clicked? Like, what if I take these quotes that I had saved on my computer, and I take my love of cartooning and comics, I combine those two things, and I turn it
You
into a
found
new
your
website.
ikigai.
Yeah. What is? Oh, yeah. Is that the Japanese term?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
being useful to the world, finding the thing that you're
Yes.
passionate about, and the
Yeah.
thing that you can do that within your sphere of competence. Yeah,
All right. Okay. Yeah. That
like,
perfectly sums it up. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
You because
it all.
it went
Yeah.
pretty crazy though. It really went viral. You went nuts there. It was big.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy. I was so delusional or confident. I thought it was a good idea, and I was like, "Fuck this! I'm going to quit my job. I don't want to do this in my spare time. I want to just totally devote myself like a monk and just
Yeah.
devote myself to it." So I was like, I talked to my wife, of course, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to quit my job." She's like, "All right, do it." And so yeah, that was at the end of 2011. I had quit. I handed in my resignation, and it took me a few months to build the website to work on like a catalog of comics to have at the ready for when I launch. And it launched it in the start of 2012. And if you remember, do you remember what you did the day it launched? I'm
I
curious
don't.
if you remember.
What did I do the day it launched?
Okay. Well, I'm pretty sure it was the day it launched or that first post that you saw of it. I get a phone call. Yeah, I get a phone call. I don't think I had your name in my contact, so it's probably like just your number. Yeah, and I was like, "Who's this?" And then, and at the time, I was super nervous. I was, I was super, anxious. Like I've made a terrible mistake. This is a stupid idea.
Yeah.
No one's going to like this website. No one's going to find this website. And yeah, in amidst of all this anxiousness, I get a phone call from my old mate Jason Chatfield, and he rang me up. You rang me up and you just said, "Oh, I love the idea, Gav. It's perfect. Keep going with it. I believe in the idea. You're doing a great job. Keep it up." And I just thought that was the nicest thing. I've never forgot it. So thank you, Jason, for doing that. Yeah, you could have.
No, I mean it still to this
Yeah,
day.
you could have emailed me. You could have tweeted me. You could have just reposted my work. But no, to take the time to actually call me, that was very moved by that, and yeah, it meant a lot. So thank you.
You're welcome. Well, you honestly, when it came out, I remember seeing the big launch. I remember you put out the website was up. I went straight there. I looked at it. I remember going through, and there were two things that struck me about it. This is what compelled me to just call you and go, "You're a genius. This is amazing." Was not just that it fit what I was saying before. You're the perfect person for this specific idea. But you were one of the very few cartoonists, especially in Australia, who had pivoted from newspaper print comic strips successfully into a web comic without having to take a legacy property and then try and contort it to a web comic audience. You created a brand new thing, which is so important. And I've learned that the hard way, that it's way harder to take a legacy print property and make it a web comic than it is to just build something that was born online and then grow it online. And it struck me that it worked on the phone as well. And the phones back then, I don't know if you remember the iPhone like 3G or whatever it was we had back then.
Yeah.
They weren't great on the internet. Safari was pretty janky, but your website worked on phones. And I think that was a big thing because Instagram was really starting to, everyone's like, what's Instagram? Everyone's jumping on Instagram at that point. So I think it was right place, right time, right idea. But Instagram really boosted this idea. It was before it was trying to become TikTok and videos. So still images were king.
Yeah.
And it sort of felt like the right thing for that medium. Not necessarily Facebook, but definitely for Instagram. And I just thought, this is genius. Yeah, I remember just feeling compelled to tell you somehow that you're, because I know the doubts. I know the imposter syndrome and the doubts and the what am I doing? Oh my God, I left my job. What am I crazy? Is this insane? And then very few people, I think, especially in cartooning, understand what it's like to have to just
Yeah.
roll the dice and take that massive gamble. And you took the biggest gamble. You left the security of a full-time salary job to be a freelance cartoonist, which is
Yeah.
honestly insane, but it worked out. It
Yeah,
worked
well,
out. How
having
many years later?
yeah, so I mean, that was 13 years ago now. Yeah. Yeah, and I've
So
yeah. Yeah, so having said
it
that,
worked out.
it was scary, but it definitely is still
Yeah.
the best decision I've ever made. And I recommend it for everyone who's on the fence to just jump off it and have a crack.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to your books because you collected Zen Pencils into a book. I remember at the time you came to, I think it was New York Comic Con or San Diego. It was New York Comic Con, I think, or San Diego Comic
Yeah,
Con.
I
We
met
definitely
you.
met in New York.
Yeah.
And you were at the Andrews McMeel booth doing signings, and Zen Pencils was just the first book of Zen Pencils was out, and,
Mhm.
I never really asked, but I assume it did well because they did a second one. But I remember seeing it, and it sort of does make sense, like to put them all in one, like in a print book, so that you have that relationship with them. But I think, was that your first book? Like, was
Yeah,
that the first one
definitely.
you had?
Yeah, so Zen Pencils got collected into 4 books, but the first 2 did pretty good, and then third
Mm.
one not so good, fourth one not so good. But
This is
yeah,
books.
yeah, this is books. It always starts off great and then it drops off a cliff.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so yeah, that was I met you in 2015 in New York at New
15. It
York
was
Comic
15.
Con.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And again, you took me out to a comedy club, and I appreciate it.
That was fun. Yeah. Well, after that, the thing that struck me about your book, because I still have it here. I remember thinking like your style suits print still because you came up in print. I think you still have that capacity to understand, you know, line and shape and
Yeah,
composition such that when it's on a page instead of a screen, it still works really nicely. Whereas some webcomics don't necessarily translate well to books. Like there are some like that do, and then you see the ones that don't, and you go, yeah, no, this really only works on the internet.
yeah,
Um, yours did work because you had your chops as a print designer. And I think from then on, I never really talked to you about this because you pivoted to these amazing graphic novels and kids books, and you were just churning these things out like this, and it's a lot of work. And you've worked with the big 3. I mean, you've worked with Scholastic, you worked with Penguin Random House, you worked with First Second on this latest one. You worked with Andrews McMeel.
yep.
Have you worked with Schuster
No,
at
no.
all? Okay, so there you go. Oh well, on distribution
Yeah,
probably Schuster, but not in
no.
publishing, right? Right. But can you explain to people who want to do a book, like it changes so much. As soon as you think you know anything about graphic novels and books,
Yeah.
it just changes. So what's your experience with it? Can you share it? Because
Yeah.
I want to know.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I was Zen Pencils. I did that for 6 years, and by the end of that, it was kind of getting harder to make money. I was kind of getting bored of it. To be honest, I was kind of starting to repeat
Mhm.
myself. So yeah, I wanted to move into books. Also, just as risky, it's not stable at all. But graphic novels were so huge and going mainstream, and all the big publishers were doing them. So I thought, now's
Mm,
a great time to jump into that world.
mm.
Um, and just one of the advantages of being in Australia is it's a very small industry here,
Mm.
but everyone kind of knows each other, um, and you don't really need an agent here in Australia.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it helps, but you don't need one. It's not a necessity.
Right.
Um, whereas obviously in America, you do need an agent. So in Australia, I got Super Sidekicks was my first series that I sold. And I just got I know this sounds too easy, but yeah, I got a few contacts of, do you know Jules? You know Jules Faber?
Of course. Yeah, he was
Yeah,
doing
you know Jules,
those
yeah.
books. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Scholastic.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so he knew everyone in all the publishers and editors and stuff. So he gave me, some contacts, and I put together the pitch for Super Sidekicks. And I sent that to all the contacts he gave me, and one of them was interested. That was a Penguin Random House. Again, I know it sounds too easy, but so thankfully Penguin Random House, they sold it to Penguin Random House US. And that's how I met my US agent.
Okay.
That's how I met my US agent.
Right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
So Super Sidekicks, there are 3 books in the series, and I thought it was, the next big thing, and I was gonna just do 20 Super Sidekicks books, and I was gonna buy a private jet, and I'd be done, But
the first purchase really is a private jet.
But it didn't work out that way, which is all good. But I was looking. So I had a new agent, and I was working with her, and we put together the pitch for Creature Clinic, which is the new book. So that was the first book that went out. Yeah. So that was the first book that went out to American publishers through my new agent. And it took ages. Like, the thing that you have to know about books is that everything takes freaking really, really long, really slow. It is so slow. So you'd send out you send out a pitch with a Creature Clinic pitch, and you don't get a response for at least 6 months, probably. And then you might get a bit of a bite, a little bite on the fishing hook, and then you don't hear anything again for another 2 months. So you do have to be very patient in the book industry, which is very hard for me, coming from the webcomic world where everything's instantaneous.
Yeah, it's instantaneous.
yeah. So that's how I got the Creature Clinic and Baba Black Belt, the picture book, which just came out in the US. The Baba Black
Very
Belt.
Cool. I love it. Hardcover. It's a beautiful book. Yeah, it came out really nice.
So again, that was through Australia. So they actually got in touch with me, Scholastic. They asked me if I had any ideas. And so I gave them a few different ideas, and one of them was Baba Black Belt. And then they managed to sell that to Scholastic US. But it took
right. Okay.
Yeah, but it took like
it's hard to get the word out too, because it's such a crowded market.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about
it.
I
have a copy. Yeah, I have a copy here, and Ronnie has the copy you sent for him as well. And it is interesting, sort of seeing like these. There's no good reason this book shouldn't be like, it's any author says this, but there's no good reason this book shouldn't be huge. It shouldn't be everywhere in every school and every child's bedroom that their parents are reading it to them, at bedtime. And there's no rhyme or reason, because it's like the timing has to be right, and the moon has to be Jupiter.
Totally.
Everything has to line up, and it's got to be the right. And the seasons, I didn't know about the seasons with pitching, the different, like as soon as it hits the holidays, basically forget about it. As soon as it's like November onwards,
it's got no chance.
No one's in. It's fine. Nothing's getting done till January, and and then there's like these seasons where they book everything out for summer of next year, and then they book fall of 28, and it's great. The print deadlines are long, and it's glacial paces, and
Creature Clinic. From the selling the pitch to it appearing in bookstores, over 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Wow. So you started pitching this in the pandemic.
Exactly. Yeah, it was during the pandemic.
You put together the deck. Yeah.
Yeah, I put together the proposal, and my second daughter was born during the pandemic, and that's where some of the idea came from, the hospital setting. And I was working on the pitch in the hospital waiting room, I remember, and there was no visitors allowed because it was the pandemic, and it was nuts. But yeah, just everything.
I like that you dedicated it to your mum. That makes sense now.
Yeah, so there's a mother-daughter relationship in the book. And the mother's quite a bossy, demanding mother, which she might be based on. Yeah, she might be based on my mum. Yeah,
unofficially. Unverified. She's actually a
Yeah.
great character. It's great design. The character design is great for her as well. I love that. It's really
Thanks,
nice.
man. Yeah.
Everyone who's just joining who, who didn't hear us talking about it earlier, Creature Clinic is Gav's latest book, Gavin Aung Than. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it anywhere you buy books, basically. I really, really recommend it. It's good. What's the reading level? I never know when recommending graphic novels. Like, I know the readers, it's a young reader, but what's the age?
So, most of those types of graphic novels are middle grade. So, age 8 to 12 is what they say.
8 to 12. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So the same as like Nat and Nico Bravo.
Yeah, it's all middle grade. Yeah. So that's kind of the big market.
Okay.
The big market at the moment is the middle grade graphic novel.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you get in there and it pops, then you're minted for life.
Yeah.
But it's just so crowded.
It's getting harder and harder. It's just oversaturated. It's really hard to stand out.
Yeah. I wanted to ask about, there's two technical things I want to ask about. And while I'm doing it, don't think I'm not listening. I'm going to draw. I'm going to talk to you because that's I think more clearly while I'm drawing. The thing that struck me with this book was you've done so many now that you must have a process. You must have kind of a like a regular a way that you build these out, because when you put it in the back with the pencil, like at the back of the book, you've got the you've got the pencils, the inks, like the thumbs. Each page, you go from the outline to the character designs to the thumbs with the script. And then pencils, which are great. Pencils are so tight. It's so nice to see like really nice pencils. It's very, I don't know if this was just like a particularly good page, but
well, yeah, there's probably there's like a layer of rough underneath those pencils that I should
like blue pencil, or what do you use? Like, are you using like a?
Oh, I actually did all that. That was the first time I've penciled everything in Procreate.
Oh, nice. That's great.
Yeah,
nice one. That's really cool.
It was a learning curve to use such a small area, but
Aussie business represent Tasmanian company.
Yeah, that's right. Procreate
and Kyle Webster's brushes. Yeah, and then the lettering is in InDesign, which I thought was really interesting. So you laid it out in InDesign.
That's just from my graphic design background. So I mean, I got to use. That's one thing I do. I'm glad that I did do that graphic design, because I use Photoshop and InDesign every day now.
Yeah. I mean, that creative suite, when I was doing print design at Worldwide, my first job, my only job, was as a print designer at Worldwide Printing. And
is that in Wangara, Jason?
Wangara, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so for those listening, Wangara is probably the most complete opposite place you could think of to New York City that you can imagine.
From Wangara to Manhattan. It sounds like a book. And I was using Quark Express. When I first started, I was using Quark 4, which was basically putting two coconuts together of design. That was
don't give me. You're giving me traumatic flashbacks about Quark Express.
The worst program to use as a designer. I wanted to ask, because Mike Cavallero, who's on the back here, he's a good mate of mine here in New York. He's a great artist. He teaches at SVA. He was telling me that when he does some books and he's like really tight on time, he will employ the services of a colorist. And I, in my whole career, had never, ever used a colorist before. I just thought, I didn't even think it was an option. And then there was a minute there, like just for my like for bookwork and stuff, there was a colorist on Ginger Megs for like 5 minutes, but it didn't really, it was too, my deadlines were too tight. It didn't work. Phil Judd was doing some coloring for me on Ginger Megs, which was lovely, but, and he had really good instincts, good color theory, good instincts, but I just like the timing was never, the deadlines were too tight. And so I just always did things by myself. And I remember him just saying, oh yeah, I can rec you a couple of my grads, my students from SVA. who have
Right.
really good like portfolios, and then you could just choose who you want to use. And so for my first book, which was You're Not a Real Parent Until, well, it's coming out. This one's actually coming out in spring. You're Not a Real Parent Until. It's coming out next spring.
Yep.
I used a colorist for this. I used
Okay.
Naya Mojica
Yep.
and Sarah. I used two back like overlapping because I was just shooting pages to both of them, like batches of scans to both of them because the deadline was so tight, and
Right.
there was no way I could get it done without a flatter. So flatters are, for anyone who
Yep.
doesn't know, a flatter is just someone who like fills in these sort of different
Yep.
sections in a color so that you can then go in, add shadows, highlights, gradients, airbrushing, whatever you need to do. And I used the flatter, those two flatters, and it was like the whole world opened up to me. I was like, oh, really? I don't have to do the flatting? It's those boring, laborious work
Yep.
that, you sit and watch Netflix while you're doing it or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
it changed my whole capacity to churn out books. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was like a
Totally.
cheat
'Cause
code.
yeah, so I've been fortunate. With my two books with first, second. Yeah, they've actually got a colorist for me, which has been
Really?
amazing. Yeah,
Oh,
'cause
wow.
yeah, it is probably my least favorite part of the process.
Yeah, same.
Because it's a whole nother discipline, really.
It
And
is.
my color work isn't as good as it could be. So I'm so glad that I don't have to worry about that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm sometimes like the one I've been working on a new series I've just started, but I will be coloring that. Yeah, I will be coloring that one myself. But yeah, it's pretty simple, very very cartooning. It's
Oh,
just they're kind of shorter books, and just the agreement is that I'm going to do the coloring, so which is cool.
okay.
I don't mind.
Is that with
Um,
first second?
yeah, it is with first second.
Fantastic. That's great. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Um, so when's that due out? When's that one coming out?
Well, I've just finished a different graphic novel, which is more of like a semi-autobiographical type of book.
I,
It's kind of like like a Rainer Telgemeier.
I love Raina Telgemeier. She's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So it's based on my life, me as a 12-year-old growing up in Perth,
Love that.
um, and just loving to draw and having parents, immigrant Asian parents who don't really encourage my love of drawing.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
so that was been really a real challenge to do because I haven't done anything so personal before.
Yeah. Right.
Um, but yeah, I'm just putting the finishing touches on that before starting the new
Okay.
series. Yeah.
So how many
So
how many pages is your autobiographical graphic novel?
it will be 256 pages.
Whoa. Holy
Yeah.
crap. That's
So
a lot
yeah,
of work, man.
I've spent the past 18 months working on it, and
Wow.
it's been brutal. But yeah, I'm so happy that it's pretty much almost done. I've just got a few little things to finish up.
Must be a relief.
But
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's the best feeling in the world.
Turning in a book. There's no feeling like turning in a book.
I
And
know.
just like the shoulders going down, just
Yeah.
the unclenching everything. You're just like,
I know.
oh, it's finally, and
Yeah.
then edits come in and you clench again. But
Yeah, I know.
but it is. There's nothing quite like. There's probably a very specific German word for the very specific feeling of turning in a book. I'm just sort of sketching one of your characters
Oh,
here.
thanks, man. Yeah,
I
so yeah,
love these characters. They're
that's
so fun to draw.
yeah, that looks great. Yeah, that's Kara. She's the main character in the book, and she's a new doctor at the hospital for mythical creatures.
Yeah.
And yeah, she's a lot of fun, and yeah, that looks awesome, man. I think that's
She's
the
yeah.
one of the first fan arts I've seen of the character.
Nice. Not the
Yeah,
last. Not the last. I bet there's going to be a lot of kids drawing Kara. I think
yeah.
she's very fun to draw. All right. Well, I'm gonna wrap up, but I want to make sure that everyone knows where to get the book in the US. Like I know we've got readers and viewers in Australia and in the US. Where is the best place to get it? And what I mean by that is does it help you if it's not on Amazon? Is Bookshop better than Amazon? What's
I
the
mean,
best place to get them?
it not only helps, it's better for me, it's better for the world. If you go to an independent bookstore to get your books,
Yeah.
I recommend doing that first. They should have them. If they don't have them, they can definitely order them in for you. And yeah, obviously you can get them online. Amazon, Barnes and Noble has them as well. But any independent bookstore will be able to get them in for you.
Yep.
And yeah,
Okay.
enjoy
Nice.
them. Yeah.
Well, Gav, I have absolutely no part in your success, but I'm very proud of you. I have seen you go from just, nervous guy at that first WAACA meeting to a globally best-selling, New York Times best-selling cartoonist. That's not nothing. Do you know how hard it is, everybody, to get on the New York Times bestseller list? It's insane. And it's rigged. So you're still getting on it. It's insane. So I'm very proud of you. Every time I see your name, I'm like, there he is. He's doing it. So
thanks, man.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Let me say a few words as well, because you always spend. Let me spend. No. Give me a couple of minutes. Let me get on the soapbox.
Oh, crap.
You're always giving your guests their flowers. I'm gonna, give you your flowers, my friend. Likewise. I've been following your career for, over 20 years, and just, I'm so proud of you, of what you've done, man. Just following you when you got Ginger Megs. How long did you do Ginger Megs for?
16 years, yeah.
16 years. And now let me ask you a question. When that stopped, obviously not through your decision, not your choice. Were you like scared? Were you freaking out? Were you nervous?
Terrified. Yeah, I didn't know. I that's all I've been doing. I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. Yeah, as my now ex-wife will attest, I was freaking out because I didn't know what I was going to do to pay the rent. So I'm glad, things like Substack kind of starting to pick up, and other, I've got the books. I've got You're Not a Real Dog Owner Until, and You're Not a Real Parent Until, and You're Not a Real New Yorker Until. It comes out fall next year. So I'm hoping those pick up. But I panicked. I didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, no, just to see what you've done since then, and you're building up the Substack, and I know how much work goes into maintaining a blog or, Substack, how much work goes into those posts, putting it all together, the photos. It's a lot of work. I did it for 6 years and I kind of burnt myself out doing it. So I admire your dedication. And then on top of all this, you have a whole nother craft and career as a comedian, which is a whole nother discipline.
Ill-advised fallback career, yeah.
So yeah, man, just you're a very impressive dude. I'm super proud of all that you've done. I look forward to following the next 20 years of what you do. And
good Lord. Just hoping we're around for another 20 years. Thanks, mate.
I know.
I was wanting to have you on the show for a long time, so I'm glad I could, and I'm glad that I can plug in your book. Everyone needs to go out and buy Creature Clinic. It's a perfect Christmas gift. If you got kids, if you got nieces and nephews, if you know any kids in your life, grab Creature Clinic. It's a great read. It's really fun. And thanks for coming on, man. This was really nice. This is really lovely.
Oh, it was my pleasure, man. It's good catching up. You take care of yourself.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, everyone.
See you guys. Bye.